Okay, everyone, hello. Hello, hello. My Monami isn't up yet. Give me 1 second. The app decided to crash on me. 1 second. Okay. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hope you guys are doing well. I'm gonna just lower the music a bit so it's easier to hear me. So, yeah, I've been busy. Hi, Mephi, how are you doing? The recent 1 week of app mentioned on Discord. Oh, for streaming? Yeah. I haven't really... Let me see, like, when did I... Yeah, I hadn't really mentioned anyone on updates since, like, the 5th, but yeah, I update people a lot about my stuff, because, I don't know, I like to keep a nice running record of everything, that's just me. But, hello, hello. Hopefully everyone's doing good. It's support chat? Oh. Oh, okay, good, this one's working, good. I'm testing out a new chat thing, so yeah. But I've got a bunch of stuff working on recently. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to like stream or been able to do things. This might happen more often as I'm starting work in a couple weeks, and it's gonna be really busy. It's gonna be really, really busy. Let me just lower the volume for this. But yeah, life's gonna be a bit crazy for me. Things are gonna start. It's pretty much my summer is pretty much ending soon, and technically it's already ended. I've been very busy with a bunch of stuff, like I said before. So, what I'm planning on doing today, something too insane. Mainly just talking about a bunch of stuff. You know, Tabby at 1K. That was pretty big when I saw it. I'm like, what the fuck? What? Tabby's my software. People like my shit. I'll talk more about the reason why I made Tabby and just in general how to deal with open source, things like that. And also look at some articles that some people sent me because I found them interesting, you know? So yeah. Let's get started so you guys don't get bored. And I'll just bump the music up for y'all. I don't know why the music is so fickle. It's like really weird. I could hear it, but it's not showing on OBS, so if it's too loud, please let me know. Anyways, so let's switch to my working screen here, and I'm going to open up a Medium article. Now, you guys probably don't know this. I never really published it, like promoted it as a sort of thing. Let me just share my Brave browser here. I actually made a Medium article about this. If you want to read it, medium.com/@KingBri. It's my handle. And I made an article because one day I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll blog a bit. And basically, I talked about why I made Tabby. So for those who don't know, for those on Twitter, again, I'm restreaming on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So if you guys want to watch there, feel free to do so. YouTube chat should be working too. I don't know if it does. We'll have to see and find out. All right, so basically, Tabby is basically my baby at this point. My very, very fussy infant of a project that somehow reached 1,000 stars. And I know developers usually say that stars aren't important, you know, stars are not necessary. No one really cares about them. And honest to God, I don't really like the social mediaification of GitHub. Like, why the fuck are there follows? I don't get it. But the fact that 1,000 people give a shit about my project is kind of insane. I don't know why you guys give a shit about my project, but sure, alright. But yeah, thank you guys so much for getting to this point. This is fucking amazing. I would like to thank Turbo, like I did in the Twitter post. I'll show it right now, actually. I made a Twitter post. It got a lot of good reception. I always appreciate the people that support me, but I got a nice Twitter. I made a Twitter post, 1,000 stars. Thank you to Turbo Derp for always, you know, for showing me this entire space. Right, he's probably not here right now, but the entire LLM space and getting used to XLlama and things like that, we really just got fed up with everything and started working together. So, yeah. And I guess as like a little bit of a, I don't know what it's like a celebration or just like a recap on the lore, I'm just going to go through this article here and I'll make a few bullet points, actually. So, it feels weird reading my own words from like 2024, just like last year. I was surprised that this article got like 60 claps. That's what it is on Medium. I know clap is like a clap is something I'd use in a derogatory way, but that's what they use on Medium. It's probably some hipster thing, but yeah, it gained a lot of traction. I don't fucking know why, but it did. So if you do want to blog, if you ever want to, you know, show something off or talk about why you made something, then use Medium. It's probably one of the best software to use, even though there's like a bunch of shit. And if you want to see Medium articles for free, so I'm going to paste this in case it paywalls you. So go to freedom.cfd, right? And then put the slash, and then paste your article. It's going to do this bullshit. But now, it shows the article. It's completely free. So if you ever have like those Medium paywalls, then just use that. But anyways, so let's go over this. This feels so weird. This is my first and probably many why I made posts. Many. Funny. I'll talk about why I don't make blog posts as much anymore, but if you guys want me to, I'll do so. This is the first of many why I made posts, which explains my reasoning for making a piece of software and diving deep into future improvements. And today I'm just going to focus on Tabby, blah, 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 and it uses the XLlama library. You guys know what that is. If you're not sure what any of these words mean, my viewers probably understand what the fuck those words mean, so let's go to the start. So let me go back to the time in November 2023. This is when the project had its inception. AI was booming. Companies were releasing models left and right. and the hype trains seem to have no end. I'll talk about that later, but I feel like this is slowing down. It seems like I'm talking about a time period that was in ancient times, but back then, every day felt like a whole month of innovation. In the onslaught of these new technologies, I was focused on running them with my paltry 3090 Ti, and yes, I'm still using that 3090 Ti to this day. It's really nice. And paltry is the correct word to use since 24 gigabytes of VRAM is entry level. The fact that a $1,000 GPU at the time, well, technically 500, but the fact that a $1,000 MSRP GPU is entry level is insane, but alright. At this time, running quantized versions of the models was the norm. Quantization is analogous to compression, so lossy compression, which allows users to run these massive models in consumer GPUs. The format that I've grown to love is EXL2. Still love the format. Format that focused on speed, optimization, and getting as much as possible into a graphics card. And tokens, what the fuck was that punctuation? Anyways, and tokens were generating at the speed of sound, so this format is great. What's the issue? Well, before Tabby came along, EXL really didn't have a official way of running the models, right? No, well, I remember back in 2023, there was like no real official UI to run models. Nowadays, Llama CPP has Llama Server, which I don't like, and XLlama now has Tabby, right? So those are like official servers to actually run those quantizations on. Then most of the time you use third-party stuff, such as Cobalt CPP, or the one that I put here, UBA, right? Text Generation Web UI, the formal name for the project. And it's a program that's basically an all-in-one solution. Now, I'm sure you guys know what UBA is at this point, but if you don't, you just go here. So, yeah, it's just an all-in-one UI for running models. Some people like it, some people hate it. A lot of people, as you go further into the LLM space, really start to dislike it, and it's gained quite a reputation for just being, like, something. And I'll talk about it here. So, basically, every single loader is bundled into this web UI, so it's using Gradio. And as you guys know, Gradio, the ever-improving UI fucking library, whatever, I have Dark Reader on, sorry, ever-building UI library that just, like, is used for demo applications, right? And if you ever use, like, Stable Diffusion, you guys remember the automatic web UI that was Gradio? Everything was Gradio back in the day. Everyone liked Gradio, but then it got really slow. So, it's a building block framework. If you ever use something like Swift UI, then you know what I'm talking about. And it's often used for AI applications. The setup was good until it wasn't. The main reason for creating Tabby was annoyance, as I do with most of the things I'd make. I really got tired at the amount of work involved to load one model, not to mention the overhead from Gradio and the sheer amount of dependencies from Text Generation Web UI. I actually fired up Text Generation Web UI a couple days ago just to test out some stuff and see like how it's doing. It's become better, I'll say that, but it still takes about like 7 minutes to install all the shit in there. Whereas in Tabby, it takes like, what, a minute and a half? Maybe even less depending on your network connection. I haven't really timed it, but if anyone knows, feel free to tell me. But I don't know. Uba just takes 5 years to install and update. And when you update Uba, it reinstalls all the dependencies, which takes another 7 minutes. So there's a lot of dependencies. And the UI really just isn't needed for me because I use Silly Tavern already. Like, why the hell do I need a UI if I already have a good one, right? So why don't I just make a good API and incorporate it in? And I'll get to that in a second. So again, some people want an all-in-one solution, like give me the model, give me an EXE, and that's what Text Generation Web UI is for, right? They could get the EXE, they could run everything out of the box, just like at a shittier rate. But basically, the overall plan was simple, right? So we created an API server, just an API server, so there's no bloat, sits on the computer and doesn't really require a ton of stuff to run. When you update Uba, you regret it. It does, right? It really does. It just becomes a big headache. So you guys can't see chat. It just becomes a massive headache, in my opinion, when it comes to stuff like this. So that's why I made Tabby. I just need something light. Updates themselves already. Exactly, the update process. Tabby also has that problem, in my opinion. It's just Python. It's just Python. Like, I probably spent most of Tabby working with figuring out how to make Python installation easier. When I started working on y'all's, Dino felt like a breath of fresh air. No Dino anything other than whatever the fuck pip is. Like, I dislike pip so much. I'm glad that UV is getting a much better renaissance, in terms of Python, and I feel like more things should be on UV so that you don't have to ship Python. But obviously, that's not going to happen. Python is the big kahuna, right? So everyone's going to need to support pip if you want a project that's installable by everyone, right? Oh, okay, so I don't have, yeah, I don't have much experience in AI model theory, but I do have a lot of understanding creating backend servers, understanding API design. So yeah, basically, whenever I start a new project, I don't really have information or understand about anything, right? So for example, I used to work on iOS apps. And for those of you who know about my iOS apps, Faireye, Asobi, etc., people probably don't know that I didn't know Swift UI. I didn't know anything about making Apple development work. So I have the same problem here. I didn't know anything about AI model theory. The only thing I knew by that time was how to prompt a model, right? I didn't know how to write code to run a model. I didn't know how to interface with the libraries. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know Python that well. The last I used Python was like back in 2017 when I did it for like a class in high school, right? And that's how stupid I was when it came to Python. But I did make network servers. I'm good at that, so I worked with it, and therefore I found Terpenter. Like, he is a very accessible person. I don't know if it's a he, she, or whatever. I just call him he because he pretty much acknowledges that. But basically, he's behind Xllama. Everybody knows who this dude is. And in addition, another interested person named Splice. He's actually the one that made the first commit on Tabby and then just left. All of a sudden, it's fine. But I just kept going. And we, all three of us, started Tabby. So, but however, was the plan really that simple, right? Kind of. Well, I did have the manpower. My knowledge was zero, like I said. I ended up using Fast API because it was like the first thing that was there. And it's very popular and well documented. That I feel like that's the biggest thing. When something is well documented when you're starting out, it becomes a much nicer thing to work with. I feel like I lack on that stuff with Tabby because I mainly cater towards the users that somewhat know what they're doing, but at the same time, they can run a start script and fuck around, so yeah. Basically, after using Fast API, I was pretty much hooked on writing Python, and documentation is good, right? The documentation of Fast API is really nice. So let me... Fast API documentation. I don't know why, but this is made by one developer, by the way, or used to be, and a bunch of contributors. So he basically makes a whole bunch of stuff, even adds diagrams for asynchronous programming and parallelization. It's so fucking sick. It's so fucking cool, right? If you ever want to make an API server, I recommend at least looking at this documentation. And for JS, I also recommend looking at Hano, because this is also a very good cross-platform API server. If you're using Bun, Elysia... Oh shit. Okay, back character. Elysia JS is a good one too. So there's a bunch of them. But, sorry, back to the article. So, yeah, after a few weeks, I felt that everything was good for a public deploy. I basically worked on Tabby in the span of 3 weeks, just internally, testing things out with a bunch of friends and personal peeps that I know. And I basically decided to, you know what? It's always scary to push for the first time and release everything, and I said, fuck it. I'm pushing everything. Here you go. And then the problems come up. Oh, man. So when you release an open source project, you have a lot of issues. And as you can see in Tabby's repo right now, we got 12 of them with 11 quote-unquote solved things that date back to God knows when. And there's a lot of issues. People always have the use cases that the utility is not fit into. I'm looking at you, users. I know you guys ask me all the time, can you add this thing? I'm like, buddy, I can't. I don't know how the fuck it works. Help me. Give me info, please. Oh shit, wrong output. I didn't do tool calling until now because I was never really interested in it, right? I mean, someone PR'd it in, Storm PR'd it in, good person, amazing dude, but I was never really interested until recently when I see that the LLM community is really moving in that direction for the most part. I'll talk about it in a bit, but I just became interested. I'm going to work on reasoning soon as well because, I don't know, it seems pretty interesting to me now that I have some time to look at stuff. But yeah. And again, I'll probably talk about that later in the article. I'll save that for a sec. But for this post, I mentioned a few things that were difficult. A large pain point was that I was in the middle of the RAG hype. Oh my god. Everybody was asking me for RAG stuff. There's new techniques like function calling. I vented at that in here. and there's little to no documentation on how these features actually work in the backend. To this day, that can be changed. I haven't implemented OpenAI's tool calling, so I have no idea how it works. The lack of documentation is sadly common in the AI world, and it stifles the ability for developers to implement code without a lot of information gathering. Now, those of you know, I had a couple of streams where I implemented tool calls, Vinyals, and Tabby, and getting the documentation understanding for some of the features just still isn't there. This is still a problem, by the way. There's still a huge lack of documentation on how to do things. Most of my knowledge, and pretty much anything really, but most of my knowledge in AI comes from just talking to people. And if you're ever trying to get started with just running a model, right? Talk to people. Don't be condescending. Don't be an ass. Don't harass people. But talk to them. Ask them questions like, hey, I don't know how this works. Can you help me? I'm like, sure. I won't bite you. As long as you're not an ass to me, I won't bite you. I'll be happy to help you. I've done streams with other streamers before who, don't know about this stuff and are willing to learn. So you should just, a lot of people are approachable and willing to talk, especially in this area where everything is a black box and people are making new things. I remember back in 2024 when the CFG paper first came out, I talked with the paper author. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna ask him questions because I don't know how the hell this shit works. And he gave me a bunch of answers. So yeah, that's what I recommend for anyone that's learning. Talk to people. Open your mouth. Speak in Discord servers. Don't be scared. If you act like someone that is looking for knowledge, information, then it works, right? Anyways, so yeah, that's the problem with documentation. I'll be more than happy to make a YouTube video understanding tool calling from the API side of things because, again, there's nothing out there about it. It's really irritating. Alright, so another issue that lasted for several months was multi-user generation. So, because, early in Tabby's lifecycle, I just wrote basic Python, synchronous Python, and that didn't work because it kept locking up the server. And previously, before I even implemented a multi-user queue, is that when two people requested, it kept generating garbage because obviously it wasn't handling two requests at once. It was handling one request and just jumbling all of them up. So I had to make a queue of some sort, which I did, and it didn't work half the time. Anyways, so essentially I learned asynchronous programming. Now, the problem is that a lot of AI developers, including Turbo, do not vibe with asynchronous Python. I changed his mind, but it took a long time. It did not like asynchronous Python, while networking servers, like they should, embrace it. I'll explain why in a sec, but I basically had to learn how to communicate between asynchronous and synchronous libraries, mainly in the form of threading, and it led me to understanding Python's async model. And, God, if you ever worked with async, and which I have before, I've worked with async in JavaScript, C#, Swift, Rust even, and I feel like Python is one of the hardest async systems to learn. Mainly because it's so poorly written, right? It's like async isn't exactly async, right? If usually the paradigm is if a function requires an await, then it should be async. Otherwise, it doesn't have to be. But with Python, that doesn't make any sense, right? Because something can block, and then you make it asynchronous and it starts not blocking, and then you're wondering why the fuck it's not blocking. But then you have to put it into another... It's a giant fucking mess. But basically, I had to learn all of that in the span of 2 to 3 months while just battling all of these issues. So, after understanding async, I worked with Turbo, created a better generator in the Xllama library, which stripped away all of the multi-user issues and the weird bugs, and after 9 months, which was at the time, now it's like a year and a half, it's pretty much safe to say that Tabby is finally a stable program, right? Burnout. Yep, so I did have a huge period of burnout when I was working on Tabby, and I'll explain this. So, I actually never had a burnout period. Any point I was developing software, I never had a burnout period. Until now, until Tabby. I guess it's because the project grew so much that I never really experienced the type of community before. And coding has always been my favorite pastime and escapes the stresses of day. If you guys don't know, I'm a medical student at day, so and you could probably tell being a med student is more stressful than writing some code and pushing it up. So I always found it relaxing. Also video games too, but yeah. Tabby and the AI community changed things. I made a lot of friends who share common interests, and I used to engage in voice calls, just to pass the time. And a lot of the voice calls just stopped. It's honestly a reason why I started streaming Rather than relying on people, I just yap. And if anyone wants to watch, go ahead. If anyone doesn't, then sure, whatever, I don't care. And basically, I was under a lot of stress finishing up my first year. I could talk about this because I'm done with it, but I wrote this like after my hemonc block. And for those who don't know, hematology and oncology is a very, very hard block. This was literally me as I was going through it. I'm like, oh my god, I can't fucking learn this shit. So yeah, I had a huge period of loneliness. It was just me studying for like a huge exam that was upcoming. I didn't really need to get a good score on the exam, but I just did it just to, prove myself. But yeah, it's developing Tabby was like a huge burden at that point. When something becomes a burden, the best time is to take a step back. Right? Take a step back before you get frustrated like I did. I just became extremely frustrated. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. I'm taking a break. I don't want to do anything. I spent some time away from Tabby. I was just enjoying my summer vacation because I really needed to, right? I finished the hellish block. I was just exhausted. And I worked on some older iOS app stuff because I found that to be fun. Spend time with my family. Right? That's what I'm doing right now as well. It's always a good time to talk to your support system whenever you're feeling frustrated, whenever you're feeling depressed. I was actually feeling pretty depressed this week because of a lot of stuff that happened. It got better because of other stuff that happened. But yeah, I was through a lot of feelings for the past few weeks, just really using streaming as like an outlet to push myself or just distract myself from what was going on. And honestly, I like it. So again, I'm back into Tabby. And the voice calls, I just forgot about them. I'm not developing for voice calls, I'm developing for myself. And it's really a tough pill to swallow because the stuff that you used to do, it's really hard because the stuff that you used to do, you always feel like it's going to continue forever, right? Until it doesn't. And obviously, Tabby is not going to be the leading software for inferencing models forever, right? I might get busy. I might abandon the project. Who knows? No one knows. Something else might replace it. But it's really a tough pill to swallow when your stuff becomes more or less irrelevant or things that you used to do start to fade away and you gotta find something else. It sucks. It really sucks. And that's really how I just got burnt completely. So let's look at the lessons I learned. I'll probably add a few more. So Tabby was the first LLM project I've ever made. Y'all's was the second. And it somehow became a popular name. It caught 1,000 stars somehow. And I was thrown into the deep end of management because I didn't really manage an open source repo properly before. I was just tossed into the deep end of the pool. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So here's a few thoughts that I basically learned. Number one is know who you want to cater to, right? Anyone. When you publish an open source project on GitHub, any person who has an internet connection, and just an internet connection actually, could use it, right? They could look up some stuff, be like, oh, I can clone this, and then try to run it, right? So for Tabby, my philosophy is that I usually prioritize features that benefit the project's ease of use, my friends, and myself. I usually develop it like a for me philosophy, and if you don't do this, that's fine. It's like you're developing a product or something. But again, all my projects are hobby, right? So I always develop if I'm really interested in something. So it's a for me type of thing. If I'm not interested in something, I'm not going to look at it quickly. I'm not really going to think about it because I'm not going to be using it. Why the fuck should I care? Sorry, it's a bit selfish, but it really helps keep the burnout away because it helps me keep working on things that I'm passionate about. I understand a lot of people have ideas. I understand a lot of people have features, but at that point, fork it, use your fork, update with upstream, and I'll take a look when I feel like it's a good idea to do so. I'm not going to force myself to look at something just because you suggested it. It's just, I'm just a busy person. That's pretty much it. That's why I haven't fucking streamed in a week. But yeah, I can basically manage my own schedule and I'll know what features to work on as I go. And these live streams make me want to explore more features for just extra content. So yeah, I'll probably look at more things as I go. Understand your limits. I feel like back in the burnout section, especially during this point, I push myself way too hard. And you really need to understand your limits when writing open source. Burnout is just not fun at all. Don't run yourself down because a user has an issue. I actually disabled. I used to get emails about every single issue. And whenever I got an email notification, I'm like, oh my god, there's an issue. I need to fix it. I turned off all notifications from GitHub. Because you should. You really should. When you make your project popular, turn off all the notifications and every single point of day, just look at those issues, see if you can work on them. If you can't, don't. Simple. No one is going to hunt you down because you're working on this stuff for free, right? I'm working on it for free. I'm working on it as a hobby project. So if I have a breaking issue that needs to be addressed immediately, I'll address it as soon as I can. Not as a hot fix, like instantly when you email me, but otherwise, I just do it when I can, right? So if the feelings of frustration, anger, boredom show up, take a break. It's a good idea. Just take a break. When I was depressed like the past week, I didn't want to work on Tabby. I just played Tears of the Kingdom and just sat back and relaxed and attended my classes because I didn't have the motivation to code. So when you don't have motivation, just don't do it. Another thing that I really think should be said to a lot of people, and I honestly got this from talking to Turbo and a bunch of other people that have more popular stuff than I have, is don't bend over backwards for everyone. An idea may look good when it's first presented, but people don't understand that the developer needs to maintain the feature, right? So whenever someone makes an issue or a PR, they're like, oh, this feature is cool, or this refactor is cool. But you gotta understand that I'm the one that has to maintain it. So if there's a lot of foreign code sitting in the repo, I don't know how it works. Hey, Whoopi, how you doing? Thank you on the, thank you for the, star. Thank you for the, oh my god, thank you for the compliment. I'm thinking about one thing and I see the chat, I'm like, oh shit. But yeah, I'm just reading the article that I made on Medium about why I made Tabby, but there's a little bit of life lessons that I wrote back in 2024, and I'm just going over them right now, so welcome to the stream. Anyways, so, again, I'm the one that's gotta maintain the feature, right? And if I'm looking at foreign code half the time, then it becomes a bit of a pain in the ass, and it makes me demotivated. So, you get tech debt. And if you guys don't know what tech debt means, look it up for you. Sorry, you guys can hear my keyboard. In software development and informational technology, technical debt known as design debt or code debt refers to the implied cost of additional work in the future resulting from choosing an expedient solution or a more robust one, right? So you need to understand that if you try and implement something or implement something that someone else made, it'll add tech debt in the future and the project will become less desirable. So you need to know your limits. Like, do you understand what this PR is doing? No? Look at it again, delay the PR. Even if it's a good PR, delay it. Because you're not going to have a fucking clue once you merge it in, and then you have to work with all that code. So it becomes a big pain in the ass. So yeah, and if you have a team, like I do, I have me and Turbo basically, and mostly me for Tabby, you really need to decide what brain power to commit to. And one example of a project that just suffers from over-contribution is, you'll probably guess it, llama.cpp. The very popular backend for running models. It's become a giant spaghetti-coated cluster. That's what everybody I've heard. That's what I've heard from everyone who works with it, right? Especially me. Like, I worked with y'all's Coffee Vampire, my friend. He mainly worked on the C++ side, and it's a mess. The server code, and the server is great. It's a great piece of software. But the server code is a fucking mess. It's just... it's 4,000 lines of code, C++ code, and the API server, the backend, running everything, is in one file. And to me, that's insane. First of all, how the fuck do you maintain that? But second of all, it just keeps growing. It keeps growing and growing like some sort of spaghetti monster. I don't know what is like a better analogy? If chat has it, I'll be happy to talk about. But yeah, it just becomes a giant blob, essentially. You get stuff like this. So that's something I really want to avoid. I want to avoid all the tech debt that shows up. And that's why I'm very careful about what I accept. And why I'm so anal about formatting, committing, etc. I apologize, but it's just so I don't go crazy in the future. And, okay, so yeah, the next lesson is to create something you love and enjoy, right? I created Tabby because I was pissed off at the options before Tabby, and I love it. It's a great piece of software. Obviously, I'm biased, I'm the developer. A lot of people say it's a great piece of software, but for those who don't, yeah. But if you liked creating it, keep creating it. No one should be stopping you. Of course, if you have a job, then that should be your number one, but create something you love and enjoy. If you lose motivation and enjoyment when maintaining a project, it becomes troublesome, right? And a developer, if you don't actively use a project, then it's going to be a bit of a slog to maintain. So what is your motivation for running the project? And if it ever does change, it's okay. My motivation used to be chatting with AI folks and voice calls. Now it's chatting with you guys on stream, or posting shit on Twitter, or just the love of models, understanding how these things work. So that's my intrinsic motivation to actually work on Tabby. Now again, it says I'll elaborate on these on another article. I guess the stream is technically another article. I like yapping more than writing, personally. If you guys want me to write, I'll be happy to write. I know DHH makes some really good articles on his website. I like reading them. I feel that working on Tabby is going to be more insights to how I want my projects to work. In addition, my knowledge of the open source community has been expanded. What the future holds. I'm thankful to all the people that contribute and give suggestions daily to improve both Tabby and Xllama. I feel the same way right now. I definitely couldn't have gotten here without the help of a lot of people who fixed issues, suggested features, especially Turbo, who got me understanding with EXL2 and EXL3. And everyone helps refine and improve the programs to work better for general use. That's the nature of open source development. And I'm just one person. I'm trying to help, and helping out does take a lot off my plate. Despite what I said above, right? It takes a lot off my plate. And for the foreseeable future, I'm going to cut back on how much I'm working on Tabby, which I am, right? I haven't been working on Tabby all too much. I've more so been putting my time in y'all since it's a newer backend, and obviously my schooling. That's more important than anything else. But Tabby is like more of in a maintenance state, or into like stuff I want to add over time. I know somebody wanted fill in the middle. I don't really know how that works, so maybe it has to be done in Xllama, I think, but we'll see. And for the foreseeable, and basically, it's just a retrospective, right? So thank you for reading a retrospective. If you want to learn more about me, visit my website. If you guys ever do want to visit my website and read Monomi's lore, you can go to kingbar.dev. I made the website myself back in 2020, and all the lore is located here. All the art that I commissioned. So yeah, that's the article. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little read. And the fact I got to fucking 1,000 stars. I'm gonna be for real. Can you bring up an interest? You bring up your point. Think that bringing people onto your project makes teams easier for you, but it often turns out. Yes. I actually. So I was in a discussion with someone one time. I think this was back when we went to tool calling at first, and he's like, "You should have a team. You should have this." I can't manage a team, right? I'm going to medical school. I have a lot of responsibilities at home, and I'm just working on this when I can. The only other team member I really have is Turbo, right? He's working on Xllama all by himself. So I feel like that having a team is great, having extra people to work on your stuff, but you really need to treat it more as like more of a full-time thing, right? When you have a bunch of people working with you. That's at least that's my thought process. I don't know if you guys agree, but I don't really think it makes things easier. It makes things more like you have a managerial position rather than getting your hands dirty. And if you're in a company, that's great. You make more money. But if you're in an open source project, then it depends on what you want to do with your project, right? Do you want to make a product? There's two avenues, right? Let me unplug my iPad here. I'm actually going to draw this out because I also want to draw a couple more things out, but let me draw this out. I talked about this on Twitter one time. Some more experienced developer is like, what product are you making? But I'm like, I don't know. This dude was trying to contest with me and shit like that. It was ridiculous. Let me connect my iPad. Sorry, guys. For some reason, it doesn't remember the fucking code that I used to connect my iPad, but sure, whatever. I'll also give you guys a bit more lore about my start into LLMs and AI, but just give me a second. Okay. Ignore that left notebook. That was something I did last week. Okay, so we have two types of open source projects, right? We have the hobby. Oops. And we have the product, right? You see people on Twitter all the time. They're like, I'm a founder. I'm making a cool product that's so hip and amazing that I think I could be the next Steve Jobs or whatever the fuck, right? I'm sorry for any of the Twitter people in my group that showed up, but yeah, that's what I think some people sound like on there. Anyways, so here's the product mentality, right? The product usually involves a team, right? And you're the manager. I hate my doctor's handwriting. So you're the manager, right? Okay. So So now that we know that you're the manager, and you need to make a team, you need to delegate tasks that your team can complete at any time. If you look at Llama CPP, for example, these guys have they actually have a business now, called GGML org, right? So they have a full organization. Before, it just used to be Georgy Gurganov working on Llama CPP like a crackhead in his basement. I don't know how the fuck he made, I'm not gonna lie. But, yeah, that's essentially what it's evolved to. It's evolved to something bigger than his initial thought process. And he has the time to establish a company and establish a few employees that can handle all of this stuff. But in Tabby's case, where is it? In Tabby's case, it's a hobby, right? So when you got the hobby mentality, it becomes a bit different. So let me show you. So the hobby, I always say to take a for me approach, right? Because in the end, the project is really just a hobby project for you to use. So the for me approach basically states, on my own time. And as I said in the article, do everything on your own time, right? Always do stuff on your own time when you're free, when you're not frustrated, when you're not burned out from work. And that's obviously the same thing with this side as well, right? If it's an open source project. If it's your job, then obviously focus on your job. But yeah, like, that's what I think. So to answer Whoopi's question, the overall understanding of having a team is depending on the vision that you want to achieve. Do you want to make a product, or do you want it to be a hobby? And a hobby can obviously have a team. But just keep in mind that the team, you're not a manager. You're just part of the team. So you're just working together whenever you feel like it. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, let's go over a little bit of lore of Tabby. And if you also have any questions about open source, feel free to let me know, because there's a lot of things that people get blindsided by, and I'm more than willing to help people out. There are a few articles that I recommend from Jeff Geerling. If you ever look at his blog, he has a bunch of articles about managing GitHub and open source repositories. Highly recommend that you view them, because they really helped me during my burnout period. Anyways, so the lore of Tabby, pretty simple. As I said in the blog, I got annoyed. I can't write properly, so I got annoyed, and then I made my own thing. What you guys don't know is that the character on your screen right now is the whole reason why I got into AI in the first place. Let me explain. It's not what you think. No, I don't fucking do that. No. Okay, so basically, when I used to work with VR, right? I used to work with VR for like a school project that kind of went south. And as a result, I started playing more games. It's like Beat Saber, VR Chat. I don't really play VR Chat because it's weird, but Beat Saber mostly. And you could do like custom avatars, things like that, custom avatars. So that's where the idea of Monami was born. She's just like a character, right? She was really just a character, and that's where she was born. And then a lot of times later, I got into AI, and then we started building Monami's lore. And eventually, it just grew. My, ideas, the thought process, they really grew so far to the point where I started getting interested in the code rather than chatting with characters. And that's where my inspiration for Tabby was born, right? So, if it wasn't for this chick on the screen, you guys would not have Tabby. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. Like, that's just the truth. I don't think I really was interested. I was just doing iOS apps, and I would have just kept doing that at that point. But yeah, I'm glad I took the jump into the entire space. I actually started with Diffusion, but then I, got bored of Diffusion because, like, nothing was really happening, and I didn't really like the outputs that much compared to a commission work. So I just stuck with LLMs. That's more fun. Anyways, enough rambling about me. So, what am I gonna do in the future with this? Kind of obvious. I'm gonna add reasoning soon. There's a lot of PRs about reasoning, especially one here. This pull request here, reasoning parser. So I'm probably gonna look at that in the next 3 days. Maybe on stream, maybe not. Probably on stream actually, because I want to talk about it with you guys. It's one of those features that's very poorly documented as to how it's supposed to work. So It'll be interesting to dig into it again, like tool calling. But yeah, it's just gonna be business as usual. I'm not gonna sit on my laurels for way too long. Anyways, one thing I did want to talk about, actually, from the medium arc. Where the fuck did it go? Ah, damn it. Nope. Medium rare steak temperature. What the fuck is my search engine suggesting me, bro? Alright, let's go to the asynchronous part. Where are you? Here. Asynchronous Python. Oh boy, this is a big thing. Oh, I got a lot of venting to air out with this one, guys. You do not understand how much I fucking struggled. So, let's go over Python's async model, right? So, if we do an async model, we have friendly languages like JS, C#, Swift, Rust, somewhat Rust. Rust's async model actually picked up pretty quickly. A lot of people say it sucks, which can be... I don't agree with that, but I think it is a bit hard to learn nowadays, especially when you're learning Tokyo. It can get really in the weeds, but yeah. These are nice ones. These are very nice. Python. Hold on, I need to make a... This is me when I did Python. Fuck Python's async implementation politely. Like, it is terrible to work with. I don't know how many times I was wondering whether or not I should make an asynchronous function, asynchronous, or how to make a sync function work. So let's look at Python for a second, right? So Python has two methods of running stuff in a concurrent way. One way is by threading. And the second way is by using async IO. Right? So async IO is modern. Threading is ancient. Unfortunately, a lot of AI developers really like the ancient method for some reason, probably because it's tried and true, but async IO isn't like newly modern like Dino. It's like semi-modern. It's established, and it's used for a lot of networking stuff. For example, web servers. A big part of API land. Web servers, Discord bots is another one. DBs nowadays have async support. Like, just a few examples, right? So database connections, web servers, Discord bots, everything uses async IO. The one problem is the AI ML community does not. Because a lot of AI ML people just learned Python, period. They didn't dig into Python. At least, that's what I think. They learned PyTorch, they learned NumPy, they learned all of the ML libraries, like, freaking front to back, but Python itself, I feel like, I don't know if you guys will agree with me, or if you guys have a different opinion, but I feel like Python itself is kind of underutilized with the ML field. Like, a lot of people don't know that async Python exists, or people think it's slower, which it's not at the moment. I'll tell you why. But we have this other method, right? The ancient method, threading. So threading, you might think of it like CPU threads, right? Your CPU usually comes with 6 cores. My CPU at home comes with 6 cores. It's a 5600X. And that translates to 12 threads because of hyperthreading, right? That's not what Python does. Python is a very special boy. You see, Python has always been a single-threaded language. So it always runs on one thread, which is the main thread. Everything runs on the main thread. And you can't access any other thread because of the big bad GIL, the global interpreter lock. This guy right here is the reason why Python code is not performant. Python is not a performant language by a long shot. Yet it's very easy to write. People, to circumvent the GIL, mainly use a different language that's called by Python, like C++, or Rust. If you guys have used tools like UV, let me show you guys. So, UV, GitHub. So if you guys have used tools from the Astral organization, they're a huge believer in writing Python packages in Rust. And there's a reason why. Is because Python is very fucking slow because of the GIL, right? You cannot run more than one thing at a time. So instead, we work with async, right? So let's say you're using the legacy threading model and you try and run 2 tasks, right? So let's say task 1 and task 2. So task 1 and task 2 are going to attempt to run at the same time. But one of them will hit first at the GIL. That one will run first, return back. Task 2 also hits, but it's being blocked by task 1, right? So it can't proceed until task 1 is complete. Now, quite obviously, that's a problem. It's not really intuitive because threading usually means threading, right? You're using your CPU threads, right? You're using all these threads that you have on your system. No, you fucking aren't, because the GIL is in the way. So threading is just another way of saying, I'm going to spawn multiple processes and queue them together. Fucking ridiculous. So what async IO does is it takes this behavior, and it's like, you know what? Rather than saying, hey, we're going to assign something to we're going to try and hard smash everything against the GIL, it's like queuing rather than... Exactly, and I'm going to talk about it. So async IO says, rather than smashing everything against the wall, how about we make it that paradigm? Now, asynchronous programming is concurrent, meaning that you can run multiple tasks at once, so task 1 and task 2, but they're all placed in an execution queue, or an event loop. Now, there's a really good video by Ryan Dahl. Let me just look it up for a second. There's a really good video by Ryan Dahl about the event loop, and it's super good. Here. Sorry, not Ryan Dahl, Philip Roberts. This thing. So I'm not going to show it. I'll just paste it in the chat. If you do want to watch that video, feel free. It explains the event loop in a really nice way. I'll probably watch it on stream in a different day, because this thing actually taught me a lot when it came to understanding the event loop. But yeah, so back to what I was writing. So we have task 1 and task 2, and they're run in the event loop. And task 1 can be... And you're running one task at a time, right? So task 1 can be suspended, giving up control to task 2, or task 2 could do this, giving up control to, let's just say, task 3, which is coming in. There's a lot of things that are done, but async is essentially just a fast queue. And if you use something like libuv, which Tabby uses, libuv or winloop, which is in UV loop and win loop, the queue would be faster, right? And this is the reason networking servers use async, because in a language like JavaScript or TypeScript, right, they're both the same thing, there's the same problem of one thread. However, JavaScript and TypeScript's async model is way easier to understand, right? If you have an async function, you make it in await. Do you need to make an async function? No, then don't add an await. Simple. But Python, you really need to understand these concepts, because making a function async an async function doesn't have to have async operations within the function, if that makes sense. So essentially, that's what asynchronous programming is. You're just running a bunch of different tasks in an event loop, giving up control, giving back control, and just scheduling things in that loop. Simple, right? And if you do want to learn asynchronous programming, I highly recommend starting out with JavaScript and TypeScript. And a lot of people say, right? A lot of people say that learning for the first time, learning a programming language, right? They say learn Python first, right? Learn Python first. That's what a bunch of people when I started, that's what people told me, and that's what people told other people. I don't agree with this. I don't think you should learn Python first. I think you should learn JavaScript first. And before you guys dogpile on me saying JavaScript's bad, JavaScript's terrible, hear me out. JavaScript adheres to all paradigms. You have the braces formatting, right? You can enforce semicolons, or you don't have to. You have formatting, you have semicolons, you understand package managers, pretty easily. There's a huge you understand the web, a huge ecosystem, in my opinion, bigger than Python, for learning code. And there's a lot of resources, right? You can learn JavaScript anywhere. You can learn Node.js, Dino, Bun, whatever. It's a really, really nice language to get started with. The problem that most people and myself have is when people try to do everything in JavaScript. Do not try and do everything in JavaScript. If you're trying to write a systems program, write it in Rust, write in C++. If you're doing ML stuff, either use Llama CPP that's binded, or use Python. Use the language that has the least resistance when you're learning how to code, right? Do not jump into something because some Linux Chad said, oh my god, you're using JavaScript? You're so beta, you're such a soy boy. You should use, Chad Rust instead. It's such a beautiful language. No. Fuck those people. They're not developing anything. They're just saying things. Right? A lot of people say things and they don't actually ship stuff. Ship what works for you. Alright? Use languages that you think are good. If you're trying to apply for a job, work with the industry standard. I'm not a person who's good with the job application, so don't get advice from me on that. But yeah, if you're learning a language for first time, JavaScript and TypeScript is your best friend. Anyone wants to argue with me on that, feel free to do so, but I strongly believe that is. If your first language for ML, then Python, right? If you're trying to do anything ML. I know Karapathy has really good tutorials. I don't know, I think that's how you say his name. I know Karapathy has good tutorials on ML and understanding the transformer model. Maybe I'll do a stream talking about my understanding of sampling and transformers and all of the concepts that I've learned, because I know a lot of people don't know these things, and they think that a new I like drawing, sorry, I'm in a drawing mood today. Like, the new fresh idea, woo, it's this new thing, it's so cool, is going to fix all their problems, when in reality, it's just a fucking placebo for their already shitty settings. So, yeah. I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes... I'm a bit of a cynic, pessimist, or realist, I don't know what to call it, when it comes to new features, because people say, like, it's gonna fix every single problem in the world. I'm like, how? Or maybe it's just something that you did, and it just, doesn't work the way you intended to. So, yeah. Anyways, that was my little rant there. Sorry about that. If you ever do want to learn async, though, feel free to ask me in Discord. I'll be happy to talk about it. Also, feel free to ask. I'll probably make a stream one day, just geeking out about async and showing you guys some stuff whenever I have the time. I don't know when I'm gonna have time in the next few weeks, man. I'm gonna be busy as shit. But yeah. I also need to do a NeoVim stream, which I'll probably do maybe this week, maybe next week. Who knows? Oopsie. My bad. There we go. It is late. It is 10:25 right now. I've spent like an hour talking about this stuff directly. Damn. Hope you guys didn't have that snooze fest. Alright. Enough about me yapping. I'm gonna do a quick update on Tabby because I just built a new version of Xllama, which removes... If you guys aren't aware, Tabby had this issue with Python 3.13 where it tried to install the sentence piece dependency. And if you guys don't know, sentence piece is a broken dependency in this case. So it becomes a bit of a hassle when running Tabby on 3.13. So to fix that, I just built a wheel that doesn't include sentence piece. Hold on a second. There we go. Alright, switch back to OBS. So I released this new version. And theoretically, we should have sentence piece removed. To check that, I'm going to download a wheel. This one. Yeah. I use Windows, so I'm going to download the Windows wheel. And let me just migrate it over to my projects folder here. Because I have a script which helps with checking wheel dependencies. I'll show you guys what it looks like in a second. A Python wheel is basically a zip file. So if you just open up that zip file and inspect it, it becomes really easy. There's actually a package that does it for you called pkginfo, so it's very helpful. Alright. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to open this in VS Code, and we get to go. I actually vibe code this script. Whenever I don't really give a shit, I just vibe code it. I know vibe coding is bad, vibe coding sucks, for actually learning stuff, but to be completely honest with you, I don't really give a fuck. Alright, so check wheel depths. This is basically it. It's just use PKG info, import the wheel, get the object, or sorry, the class, then check all dependencies, and that's it. Okay, so let's do this with 8.32 wheel. Get rid of that. Alright, so then... Oh, shit. Okay, now... Oops, I need to provide a wheel. There we go. Let's see if sentence piece is still necessary. No, it's not. Okay, so theoretically, people can now install on Python 3.13 without sentence piece being included. The reason why this was happening is very, very fucking stupid. Oh, I don't know why. It's so stupid, man. Why is this a thing? Basically, in the workflow, the wheel oh, I'm not showing this. Basically in the workflow, the package, whenever you build it, it includes all the packages installed in the environment. So, for example, I included wheel, packaging, ninja, sentence piece, blah, blah, blah. So it includes these packages here. These three aren't necessary. If I just look here. Yeah, so it includes pretty much everything here, except for wheel and packaging, right? So the problem now is that sentence piece is being packaged despite us removing it from the requirements.txt. I think if you use a PyProject file, this fixes itself, but we're not at the moment because we're lazy. So yeah, so sentence piece was being included for that reason. Took a long time to figure out, but we got it working, thank God. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a quick dependency bump. I'm just going to show you guys how I handle dependencies in Tabby. It's kind of stupid, and the reason why I really dislike Python for package management. Let me just show it on my capture here, so it's easier to see. Or so you can see it. Okay. Open up Tabby API. Okay, so this is just sample config, ignore that. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the... Shut up. We're going to go into the PyProject. Scroll down. And what we're going to find is this... So basically, PyProject doesn't allow you to specify an extra index URL. So what we do instead... Oh god, it's so bad. What we do instead is we just copy all of the links. And this is actually how they recommend it. You have to paste all of the links. And you have to provide the system and the version. It's so fucking bad, dude. It's so bad. No. You're probably looking at this like, right, what the fuck is this? Anyways, let's change v0.3.1. Oh, I didn't build for Rockham. Fuck. Okay, let me do that. I'm gonna change them for now. Let me just do a quick build run for Rockham, and then we'll be good to go. I completely forgot about it. Sorry, AMD bros, I just don't care enough about you. There we go, let's rerun this. I'll let that go, but for now I'm just gonna change all the NVIDIA stuff, because probably should. I'm just gonna store it as a draft commit. So 0.32, oh shit, 0.31, we will find and replace with 0.32. Right, so I'm just gonna hit enter. Okay. Adding tons of... Yeah, it's so much fun, right? I love Python's dependency system. I'll show you a huge contrast in a second, but yeah, so basically just do find and replace. Should be good. Let me just open up the link to make sure. Yep, okay. So once the Rockham wheels are built, I can push this. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it as is. But yeah, that's how I build all of the wheels and I distribute them in Tabby. Fucking terrible. I hate it. I don't even think UV can solve this. It's just bad. Anyways, so I'm going to minimize this. And let me show you a stark contrast to whatever the fuck that was. Here, zoom in for you guys. Ignore that. Just testing some speed stuff. Here is Dino.json. Look at that. So beautiful. So simple. So easy. I even have command aliases to run. That I just run them using Dino task. And this does all the work for me. And all the packages are right here. No links, no nothing. Oh man, this is why I like this is another reason why I like JavaScript more. The package managers are shit. I wonder if you guys agree after seeing this bull crap. And Dino also has the benefit of fetching from both JSR and NPM. So yeah. Earlier I was looking into like speed issues on y'all's, and turns out that I was just using up my GPU way too much. That was nuking the speed. So stupid. Anyways. Okay. So that's done. Yeah, that was just a bit of a housekeeping thing I needed to do, and I didn't have time to do it today. So, yeah. Let me just see. There's a couple of things I want to take a look at as well. I made a task list on Discord. Let me just make that real quick. Oh, man, I need to... Okay, yeah, that's done. Checking a couple of my tasks that people were bumping me about. Sorry. So we got OpenAI's article, Kimi K2, Simple LLM Backend Bench. I don't know if you guys want to see the LLM bench first, or if you want to do something else. I don't mind. I'm okay with either. But let's see. Sorry, I have to think out loud here. Let's actually... you know what? Fuck it. I'm making an LLM bench. Alright. So first things first, I need to make a project on GitHub, because I'm going to push this up. If you guys haven't watched the tool calling streams, I made a video, or sorry, not video. I made a sample project that essentially, hold on, I can do multiple things at once. I made a sample project that just does a simple tool call. This thing here. So if you ever want to clone it and just see how it works, go ahead. No sweat off my back. Very cool stuff. Anyways, what we're doing now is we're doing metrics measurements. Simple bench. And the way I measure tokens per second, and some people don't agree. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. But I verified this with a few people. Basically, there's a couple ways, right? The first way is pure generation. This is usually if you're on pure GPU, which is what I usually do, right? I always work on purely my GPU. Okay, so generation, usually have a prompt, and then you generate. So we take our prompt, we set the top case sampler for more or less deterministic generation to 1, right? So we always take the highest probability, and then we get the output. And then we get the metrics. If you want to do real world, you can set whatever samplers you use and whatever options and get the metrics from that, right? If you want to ever do a real world test. Another thing is to never enable streaming. You do not want to stream when you're doing token testing. This is because each time, let's say we have a client here and we have the server, each time the client receives, the notification is sent to generate another token, right? So the bottleneck is here, right? So every chunk is going to tell the server, hey, we can't measure this, right? So that's going to be the bottleneck, and that's going to lower your TPS value. What you should use is no streaming, so therefore, only one chunk is sent out. Simple, right? Just basic generation. And metrics are usually displayed in the console, but if you guys remember an earlier stream I made, I actually implemented the usage stats to appear on the API call, so you can see in the JSON. This is what Llama CPP does as well. Okay, so client gets it from the server. Okay, so that's generation token measurement. The only thing you measure is gen TPS, right? That's it. That's all you need to do. But because prompt processing on GPU is fast as shit anyway. Now let's say you're measuring a CPU bound model. So let's say we have half layers on GPU and half on CPU. Oops. Right. So let's say we have half and half. In this case, the processing time is going to increase, processing time is going to decrease. Or sorry, processing time will increase. Processing tokens per second will decrease compared to GPU. It's an inverse relationship. Now, to test this, you basically need to make it so the prompt gets reprocessed every time. This means you need X amount of different prompts. Nothing can be cached. With the generation, you can use the same prompt and discard the first generation because the first generation is intentionally slow due to the initial processing of the prompt. It's a little bit slower, so I always discard that first one. But with a CPU, half GPU model, you're going to want to essentially send 5x amount of different prompts. I usually go for 5, but you could do whatever. And once you do that, you get an accurate understanding of the processing speed and the generation speed. So you gotta take both of those into account. Processing gets worse compared to generation at that point. It doesn't really matter. Like, let's say you're using an MOE model, because companies really love releasing huge MOEs nowadays. You're gonna have to worry more about the processing speed because you're offloading some of those tensors to CPU as opposed to offloading everything to GPU. Because who in their right mind can load a 1 trillion parameter model on a rig? I know some of you guys are insane and you have like 50 billion GPUs. I'm not talking about you. Fuck you guys for having so much money. But I'm talking about the average everyday people. Oh, man. All right. So what I want to do now is I just want to make a simple bench that does what I ask it about the prompting, and that's it. All right, so let's... And I'll probably improve upon it in my own time. But yeah, let me just change over to VS Code here, and then we should be good to go. Hopefully you guys are enjoying so far. And liking the content that I'm making. If you do want to give a follow, feel free to do so. The bots remind you guys in chat. Probably switch to... I used to run my own Twitch bot. Maybe I'll revive it, but the Twitch API is a bit of a mess. So I think Stream Elements or Nightbot is probably the best thing to do. Let's just make a new project. Let me just make a new project in the terminal and I'll open it in code. Okay, dear token bench. I don't fucking know. Let me init. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Check my phone. Ooh, 1 second. Let me charge my phone. Be back. It's like charger's right here. Is my phone still tracking me? There we go. Yeah, it's charging. My phone was on like 30%. That's not good. Especially since I gotta use it most of the day. Alright, so let's delete this test file. This is useless. I don't care about that. I'm also gonna vibe code this a bit, because like, did I delete main? Shit. Let's do this. This is gone, and we're gonna get rid of this import because we don't need it. Alright, so we really don't need anything for this. It's pretty straightforward. What we need to do... I actually made one of these before, but I'm gonna make it again just for stream purposes. Alright, so Dino actually has the concept of a main function. So if import.meta.main, right, that's the main entry point. So in this case, I'll show you. You can see that 2 plus 3 is printed out. Okay, so what we're going to want to do first is make a function to call the model. So async function call model. I don't fucking know. And I'm actually going to change the indentations to 4 because I hate to indented backend projects. Indent width 4. Beautiful. And I'm going to change VS Code to adhere to that as well. Alright. So now let me just run... I should fix that. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have the call model function. Now, one thing about Dino that isn't present with Node, if you use Node.js, you have to install a package called Axios, right? Because Node doesn't have proper fetch. It has Node fetch. Maybe it does have a fetch API now, but I know Dino, in its almighty wisdom, uses web standards, so we have fetch in Dino. It's fucking amazing. If you want to, one really useful utility that's present in Dino and the web is structure clone. This is basically a deep copy function that's in JS, which is cool. Wait, enough rambling. So what I want to do is make a body. So let's make a JSON body, and then we're going to want to make a fetch request. So await fetch, then HTTP, and this is assuming that you're running on port 5000. I'm just going to do a quick completions. The reason why I'm doing completion, not chat completion, is because it's just a straight prompt to get everything done. And I'm going to also provide the prompt as an input variable. Alright, so now I'm going to provide a few fetch options. Headers is going to be application, JSON. So we're going to state that JSON is going through. I'm not going to add authorization here just yet because we could just run this with no auth. That's okay. Then we're going to want to just set the method to post. And finally, we're just going to want to set the body. And the body in a fetch request has to be a string. So we're going to stringify the body, which is a type that TypeScript uses, which is just record string unknown. Right, so that's what TypeScript uses. Get rid of this. Okay. So we run the stringify, we run the headers, we have the method. Beautiful. It's being sent as a JSON. That's really all we need. Now what we need to do is just set the body. So, as I said before, set the top K, or whatever samples you want to set. So we're going to say top K is 1. In this thing, you're really going to just be editing the script. You're not just going to be running it straight up. So I'm just going to do this. Maybe in the future I'll add args, but I think it's kind of reductive for this purpose. So top K of 1. And then we're just going to want to set the prompt. And max tokens, we'll set that to 300, just to be safe. Usually getting a longer token count is good for measuring tokens per second because of that, because it takes longer to generate, right? So you go 300, you can go 500, fuck, you can go up to 1,000 if you want to, but I think 300 is a sensible number for just a test. Okay, so now we're going to set that as a response. So we're going to fetch, and then we're just going to return. Right, so this essentially, if there's no JSON provided, it's going to error, and we want that to happen anyways, because if there's a problem, then we want it to show up. We don't have to try catch this. And again, if you want to make like a utility that's reusable, obviously you check for, resp status dot. If you have to check if resp status is 200 and then shit like that, but I think for like a simple thing like this, it doesn't really matter. All right, so now what we want to do is we're going to assume that the prompt is provided as a text file, right? So we're going to make a new text file called prompt.text, and we're going to do a read. Const prompt is equal to await dino.read text file, and then we're just going to say, yeah, Dino actually has a very handy utility to just read a text file without reading it as bytes, which is cool. All right, so we got the prompt. Now, if, oh no, sorry, not if. We're gonna make a for loop. For let I equals 1. I is less than 6. I'll say why I say 6 in a second. We're just gonna increment I. I don't know if you guys write I++, I+1. I like I++. Sorry for you guys that write ++ I. It's just a style thing. Anyways. So we're gonna wait, call model, and that's gonna have prompt. And again, I added this little prompt argument because you can have multiple different prompts, but yeah. That will have to be a different implementation. Kind of whack, but sure. Okay, so we're gonna call the model with the prompt that's provided. And then JSON. And the great part about this is that usage metrics aren't standardized anywhere, like in terms of tokens per second. So all we're gonna do, that's it. I'm just gonna log the JSON straight up, fuck it. And I'm just gonna put a console log, running request, I, so I needs to be 0 actually because we're running this 6 times. So we're gonna do I+1. Actually, let's do this, just to make it more idiomatic, because it's kind of... Let's do this. So, running request 1 out of 6, right? So, running request I out of the max requests. Alright. So, we could see that's running, and then we could say console.log test finished. There we go. So, this is just a basic Very, very basic, by the way. Way to run text completions. And I think Llama CVP uses end predict. So we do that here as well. This is the only, for the most part, the body is standardized, except for Llama CVP, which likes to be quirky and run at 300 and use end predict instead of max tokens. Really fucking dumb. They should just add max tokens, like OpenAI has. Even though they say they have an OpenAI compatible API, which boils my blood, because a lot of providers say, "Oh, we're OpenAI compatible. We're OpenAI compatible." No, you're fucking not. You don't have a proper completions endpoint. What the fuck? They just have compatibility for chat completions, which is essentially saying that's useless for anything other than freaking assistant tasks. All right. So we got the request. We got everything work. So the next order of business is to test this out. Just for your viewing pleasure, I'm going to open up another terminal and spawn y'alls in there. I have the llama model set and loaded, so we should be good to go. We actually fire this up real quick and just edit the config, because I think I might have made a problem here. Hold on 1 second. So we're going to set the max sequence onto 4096, just because I don't want my memory to max out on the stream to start lacking. Oh, man. Alright, and set disable auth to true. And let's just run this. It's going to run with flash attention. Yep, there we go. Flash attention loaded. And we have the server running on port 5001. Maybe I should make an ARC for port. So I'm going to add a few marks to this, but yeah, that's what we have so far. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is run the token bench. So Dino, run -a, NTS, and you can see all the requests are running. And it's going as it should. So there's the... Oh! I forgot the prompt. So, for the prompt, what I highly recommend is using lorem ipsum. If you don't know what a lorem ipsum is, it's basically, how do I say? It's just... I don't know what to call it. It's like garbage, it's an ancient version of garbage text. So, lorem ipsum. Here we go. So you go to ellipsum. I just scroll down. Lorem ipsum is just a bunch of dummy text, so that's what I said. Okay, so just gonna ask it to do ask it to do 500 words of lorem ipsum, and I'm gonna generate it. It's gonna make all this garbage. I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna paste it into. I'm just gonna paste it into my prompt file. Finally, make a new line. I'm gonna add generate some extra text to fill this in. Just give it just give the model an objective to do. Okay, so now we're here. What we need to do next is just rerun the prompt. So I'm gonna do that. And as you can see, y'all's gonna process it, ignore the failed to decode, that doesn't matter. And we're gonna go back here and just watch paint dry for a bit. God, this takes a bit. Okay, there we go. So okay, I'm going to ignore that because it probably ran GPU, but you can see that the completion tokens per second... Oh, wait, what the fuck? Oh, yeah, there we go. Now it's going. I think it's running at 34 right now because my GPU is being used by OBS as well as but usually it's about like 42, 43 tokens per second. So yeah, you can see that it is running and outputting values. And you can also use this in your clients, right? So if you want to display the actual tokens per second, just grab this in both Tabby and y'all's, and it'll work. Simple. And it's going to run all of the requests, all sequential-like. I think I can hear my fan going, so hopefully this is done soon. Let me see my memory usage. Oh, fuck me. Activity monitor. Memory at? Ah, yes. 22 gigabytes out of 24 gigabytes used. That's great to see. Alright, I'm gonna shut down y'all's because we made this work properly. So I'm gonna clear everything. And next thing I'm gonna run is Llama CVP. And there's a change you have to make to Llama CVP for it to actually be accurate. I'll show you. I actually made the changes in this set. Oh, jeez, my fan is really going. Fuck. Alright, I gotta let that calm down before I actually make more stuff. But basically, what you need to do... I think I change this to... that. Okay, so what you need to do is set these values to, basically disable variants. Llama CPP has their own like sane defaults. I hate the fucking idea that they did that, because one time I was just testing with pure sampling, meaning that there's nothing enabled, right? Just pure generation. And for some reason, Llama CPP was super fast, while y'all's wasn't. The reason why was because Llama CPP was actually setting samplers without my knowledge. This is very bad API design, in my opinion. You should have everything disabled in some way, shape, or form by default, because it's up to the user to decide what they want to enable, and if they fuck up, they fuck up. It's their fault, right? I don't think you should be providing sane defaults, because that skews the results as to what you get. That's why I really dislike the fact that they did this. But basically, in common.h, you just need to find this structure here and change the parameters so that they, fit properly. Like, even temperature has a sane default, which is interesting. It's 1. Sorry, no. It's 0.8, which is very weird, because 0.8 isn't really a value of quote-unquote disabling. 1 is neutral, right? 1 is a neutral temperature. Less than 0 is completely greedy, because you're not applying any temperature activation function. You're not applying any temperature scaling there. And then min P and top P are set at 0.95 and 0.05. So if you send a JSON like the following, you send min P, let me make that a JSON. Send min P of 0.2, 0.1, right? And you assume it's just going to be min P of 0.1, but in reality, you're also applying top K of 40, top P of 0.95, and min P of 0.1, in addition to a temperature of 0.8. So you're not providing the neutralized parameters, which is, I don't know. This is what it makes me. This is what it makes me. I don't know. It's weird. It's really fucking stupid, in my opinion. I don't think they should be doing this. I think they should be zeroing everything out to the best of their ability. Quotes on zeroing, because technically what I did here isn't really zeroing, but it's more of the accepted neutralized defaults that the community uses. So yeah, I'm getting off my soapbox here, but you gotta build with this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run Llama CPP right now. My Llama CPP build in... don't save this. I'm gonna run my Llama CPP build in here, and then we should be good to go. So let's do build. Okay, and we're going to cd to bin, and we're just gonna run Llama server, then m models meta llama C4096 dash ngl, so number of GPU layers. The port is 5000 or 5001, and then flash detention should be enabled just for fair testing. Okay, so this is gonna go. All right, there we go, loaded. I don't know what the fuck this is doing, but all right, sure, whatever. So now let me just rerun the bench. No, let's run. So previously, you just need to let the bench run, and since the numbers aren't standard, I just recommend averaging them. Maybe a way can be added so that you can provide the fields to pull from, and then you can just run average in JavaScript. But averaging is pretty easy. So we can see it says 36, 35. So it's hovering around the same speed as y'all's here. It's obviously faster when I'm not running OBS. Again, Llama CPP, sometimes y'all's is faster than Llama CPP on Mac. I don't know why. It shouldn't be. That makes no sense. But yeah, you can see everything is being done as expected. And we're at request 6. There we go. Alright. Before my fan starts spinning up, I'm probably going to shut this down nicely. Alright, cool. So, yeah, you just grab these values, you'd average them. This is like around 34 tokens per second average. The values are more or less the same. But yeah, that's a simple token bench. Pretty easy stuff. I do say so myself. I think maybe in the future streams, we could improve on this by adding arg parsing through like something like command line args. That's a good package for that. And then, why is my fan still? Oh, and shut down on my CUP. Okay, there we go. And then while that's being done, we could also add custom prompts. We could set MOE mode, I guess, just to check, or CPU mode, just to send multiple different prompts at once to check processing speed as opposed to generation speed. And maybe we could also have a field for generation if it's present in the API, run an average. There's a bunch of stuff we could do. But yeah, let's go back. What did I want to do here? Let me just check GitHub Actions real quick, make sure everything is going fine there. Hold on a second. Where is my X-Llama? X-Llama v2. And then, yeah, Rockham is still loading. God damn it, man. Oh, wait. It's an error on one of the build steps. Ah, shit. It's one of the Windows builds. Damn it. Let me rerun those. Backend exit when trying to invoke wheel. Alright, this is actually a little bit of a teachable moment here. It's a really stupid moment, but it's also a teachable one. Fuck me, I guess. So, looking at the CUDA build, the way to find this is just Control F for error. Okay. Yeah, so there's like a really fast way to download CUDA and GitHub Actions. The problem is it can fail, as you can see here. So I'm just going to rerun all the failed jobs. There we go. Yeah, rerun them. Thank you. Yep, should be going. All right, let's check check up on Rockham here. Writing GitHub Actions is pretty straightforward. Okay, so looks like everything built except for the, yeah, this one's gonna take some time. PyTorch 2.7 for some reason takes a very long time to build. But yeah, this is building properly now. So once that's done, I can bump everything. Probably gonna stream till that's done. What I'm gonna do now is maybe we can actually improve the token parser. What I want to do first, though, is make a repo for it. Do that. Just gonna go to my GitHub. And they're going to make a new repository. Why is there a new experience for everything? Yeah, give me that shit. Hell yeah. Ooh, I like that. Token bench. Simple utility to benchmark tokens per second. Use visibility, yeah, it doesn't matter. Add readme, like that switch, that looks cool. Add git ignore, license, fucking MIT, I don't really give a shit who uses this. Actually, I probably should add that later. Because I'm gonna push something up to GitHub. Alright, so copy this, add in my terminal. Oh, sorry, you need init first. Git remote add origin. Boop. And git add dino.json. Add main.ts. Then we're gonna make an initial commit, which contains the initial code. We're not gonna add prompt.txt. I'm actually gonna include that. I'm actually gonna make a git ignore here. Okay, we're gonna just get a top tile git ignore. Okay, so top tile is the... Usually, if you want to make a git ignore, you could just go to this website here and just search for JavaScript. Shit. Oh, Dino, here we go. So you usually search like Node.js. I see. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy all of this garbage here and paste it. And we're gonna paste it into our thing. So let me just close this. We're gonna just paste it into our gignore. Cool. And what I'm gonna want to do, I don't know why PyC is there. That's weird. Why the fuck would there be a PyC file in Dino git ignore? But all right. What I'm gonna do is just gonna add a prompts. So let's add prompts folder. Okay. So here's the way I'm thinking of doing it. All right. So we can make a we can make a prompts folder. right? And then in prompts, we can add one.text, etc. So you could just keep going as to what prompts you need to use, and just run them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So this is if you want to do CPU prompting, and for GPU prompting, just make a prompt.txt file, and that's it. So let me add that. Sorry, just gotta crack my shoulders here. Body is getting stiff. Very, very old person. I'm not old at all. A lot of people call me a baby, man. Even though some people I know are much younger than me. Obviously adults, but some of the people are much younger than me. And I know a lot of people that are older than me. Oh, gosh. Alright, so we got the prompt.txt file. Now what we need to do now... Let's do this. We're gonna approach this. Basically what we need to do is we need to get a prompt file, right? Or I got an idea. It's a stupid idea, but I got an idea. You're gonna hate me for this. Let's make a get prompts function, right? So the path is simple. And we're gonna make another folder, just call it prompts. And we're gonna make prompts star. Okay, so everything inside prompts will be ignored, except for this. And inside here... Actually, I think I'll include the alarm ipsum. Let's include that, just as like a sample prompt. Okay, so with get prompts, what we'll do is we'll await stat. Okay, so do you know that stat? There is a way to do this, so I'm just gonna look into y'all's real quick and just yoink what I got there. Let's go to... Oops, where did the fuck did you go? Here you are. Alright, so let's get the... Where are you, my friend? Oh, it's in config. Yeah. So there is a way to check dino.stat right here. So let's get this. Paste this in here. I'm gonna change the track because this sounds kind of stupid. And yeah, I'm listening to stream beats today for once. Right, so prompt.text. Okay, so then we catch the error to null, right? So then if the file info is present, we're going to return await dino.readText file prompt.text. Okay. We could either... Do I want to add a separator? Okay. So, let's think about this for a second. There's two ways to approach this, right? One way is the way that I said previously. So where we make prompts 1.text, or like 2.text as an example. Or, and this makes it so we have to read 6 different files. Alternatively, we could just add a separator like this and just say prompt 2. Prompt 3, etc. I don't know which one you guys would prefer. Actually, let me ask Claude. Would you prefer a separator-based system to split multiple prompts, or a folder-based system? And chat's obviously allowed to weigh in for sure, because you guys are probably better than Claude. Folder-based system that uses 1.text, 2.text, 3.text, etc. Okay, yeah, the folder-based system's probably better. Alright. How about we do this, then? Okay. So... we need to have... There's a couple of things. We need to have an argument for the number of requests to run. Right? So that number needs to be parsed out. Then the second thing is we need to... So let's write this down. So num of requests to run. Actually, let me make this block comment. Sorry. There we go. Oops. So number of requests to run. And then we could layer all the prompts together. So if the number, so we could do it like this. If the number of requests to run is greater than the prompts, we're just going to keep cycling. Right, so we're going to keep cycling through the amount of prompts there. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, etc. Because that's probably what the user is intending, right? That's probably what the user wants to do. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, it's just going to keep going at 3. That makes no sense, right? So we're going to have to do some cycling. So yeah, and then probably going to want a URL override argument, right? Port. Or sorry, not port, URL. Host, port. I don't know if I can do body overrides. But something with the body, right? That would make the most sense. Because if we override the body, that will allow users to add more on top of the already existing stuff. So we could do something like const merged body is equal to ... body, and then we could do ... other object, for example, right? That's something we could do. It's basically the same thing in Python as doing this. So you could dereference each object. So that's the equivalent syntax in Python, right? So it merges A on top of B. Now, of course, if this was a deep merge, that the spread operator will not work. You have to use something like a structure clone to do the job for you, but I digress. Okay, so host, port, body, and yeah, that should be it. So let's do this now. So we know prompts folder does exist. Now we need to check if the prompts folder has anything in it. So we need to read the directory. Okay. So const prompts is equal to await dino read dear sync. So we're going to read the prompts, right? Oh, wait. Oops. Don't want to do that. All right. Why does it say await's doesn't have an effect? Why not? Oh, it's an iterator. That's why. Shit. Okay. How do I check how many files are in a directory in Dino? In the next stream, probably tomorrow or like Tuesday. Actually, not Tuesday. I'm busy Tuesday. Probably tomorrow. I'll see if I have time. In the next stream, though, I'm probably gonna finish this with some ARC stuff, and I'm also gonna read like a couple of articles beforehand. So simple counting with async iteration, using array from to collect, more concise with filtering, blah, blah, blah. File counts. Okay, so how can I error if the amount of files in a directory is 0? Let's also clear that previous request here. Explain that. Okay. I don't know why Copilot has become weird. The only reason I use Copilot is because I get it for free. That's it. Ah, okay, so we can just... Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so let's do this. So const prompts is just an array of a string. Right, so it's a string array. And then we can just do we can do an async generator. Const file of Dino read dir prompts. Perfect. If file... Oh, sorry. That's weird. So apparently Dino is able to differentiate, which is interesting. So we can check if it's a file, which makes sense, right? Because you can have directories and directories. Prompts.push await dino.readText file entry dot name. Beautiful. then if prompt dot length 0, then throw error. Just a dumbass error would suffice for that. Alright, so now we get the prompts. And what we're going to do is we're just going to keep one.text. Paste that in here. And what this will do, now we need to add some logic that will make it so it runs one.text 6 times, right? So, that's a pretty easy task because we only have one prompt. We gotta scale it up if there are 2 prompts, 3 prompts, 4 prompts, so on and so forth, right? Okay. And we're just going to return those. Like so. Now, so the prompts are await get prompts, like so. So that's gonna be a promise. And then we're gonna say prompts. Okay, so now there's a problem, right? We can't just do prompts.I because I is gonna be out of range because we only have one prompt, right? Well, there's 2 things we can do. So we can either make a way that we can just continue running 1 6 times, or we can just duplicate, right? So we can just duplicate by the num requests, right? So, like so. I don't really want to do that, though. I want to try and make this little algorithm here. That'll do the job for us. So we start with 1. Oh, wait, it will actually be prompt 0. So I'm going to change this I to 0. Let's make this less than 6. I'm just going to make this I plus 1. Just for safety's sake. Okay, so now we're using array indices. So this becomes a bit of a quandary. For now, let's just do this, right? And see if it... And obviously this will work, but let's just see. Let me just comment both of these out. Log prompts 0. Oh, okay. Well, that's not good. Read file 1.text. Interesting. Why do you not like that? That's very weird. Oh, it's running from the root. Ooh. That is scummy as shit. Is equal to... Okay, so the path is simple. It's just prompts entry.name. Then we can just add the file path here. Like so. There we go. So that works, which is good news. No prompts found directory. Beautiful. And I'm just gonna uncomment these. They were on format. Perfect. Okay. Whew, so this gets a little confusing. So we're gonna go A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. Let me jump to Claude just to see if it'll give me an idea of what to do, and I'm gonna build on it from there, because it's definitely not gonna give me an idea. So let's say I have one entry in prompts, but I want to keep pulling from that entry without hard coding the index. So I don't want to hard code the index here. The index when fetching from the array. This should work for 2 entries in 6 requests, etc. Alright, let's see what Claude says. Modulo operator. Okay. So I was actually thinking about the modulo operator. The question is 6 modulo I modulo prompts. Ooh, okay. Oh, prompts.length. So yeah, the prompts.length is that I is 0. Let's test it. So rather than doing this, I didn't know exactly what to modulo, but I knew I had to use a modulo somewhere to get a remainder. It's kind of like admin a code, except I'm just asking Quad to help me out. Console log I modulo prompts.length. Okay. 000. Okay, that's not good. Oh wait, that is good actually. Yeah, we do need that. We do need that. Okay, so and it's gonna run that 6 times. Beautiful. Okay, yeah, that was the right answer. Sweet. So const current prompt is equal to prompt with a modulo I modulo prompts.length. Beautiful. And what we're gonna want to do now is just gonna get rid of this, uncomment this. So now what it should do, let's copy this here. Okay. It's going to run the up to the amount of requests, right? So this needs to be the amount of requests, and just gonna do I plus 1. Okay. So JSON. All right, let's give this a quick test. I'm not going to get a response because I don't want to kill the stream. But let's just log the prompt. I think I just did that, but let's just do it for my own sake. That's a restoration, so I'm gonna comment you out as well. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, beautiful. So now let's add 2.text. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the epoch of prosperity. It was the epoch of happiness. It was good times. It was bad times. If you guys remember the aesthetic of this message, Tale of Two Cities. Kind of. My stupid abridged version. Which is probably not correct, but yeah, I digress. Anyway, so let me get rid of Lorem Ipsum here. I know you really love this woman. I always sound like a woman to me. Lorem Ipsum. Alright, here we go. Beautiful. Okay, so... so 0, 1... Okay, one weird thing. See, I was getting 2 before 1, which is weird. Okay. Let me just log the file path. I don't know why we're getting 2 before 1. I mean, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. 2.text. Okay. Why is 2.text fetched before 1.text when running read dear? Let's see what this idiot says. Claude is my rubber ducky. Also my Stack Overflow. Doesn't get into any specific order. Alright, yeah, I could sort. That's fine. It's weird how it doesn't read that way, but alright, sure. Ooh, that's fun. So, I don't actually put the file paths in here. I have to run a second iteration. Or, hear me out, I can do an object, then just return the values. I think I might be onto something. Oops. So let's make an interface. Okay, so we have a file interface. Then we have path and a prompt. Let's do that. Let's make an array of prompt file instead. Okay. Then, what we need to do is we need to make a new file. Or, well, we'll do that in a second. What we need to do now... Let's make the text. And then we're going to want to push the file path. Or sorry, wait, we need to make an object. And then we need to push the path and text, or sorry, prompt. Let's do that. Now, watch the magic, watch the optimization magic. Alright? If this works. Now return object.values prompts. Bingo. So we're gonna check the length. Then we're just gonna run sort. So we're gonna sort A, B. What does little cow compare? The fuck? Let me try it, I guess. I don't fucking know. And then let's see prompts after that. I'm gonna look at the sort documentation real quick. Let me just see. Oopsie. There we go. So what is the documentation for sorting an array in JavaScript? Just want to see. Okay, so it does mutate the array. Okay, that's what I want to check. Easy enough. Alright, so... Oopsie. I need to... Let's log that. Ah! Fuck your VS Code. 2, 1. Yep, perfect. Okay, so I can just cheat it with a path. That's perfectly fine by me. Alright, so we're gonna want to arrange it. Okay. So you can see what I essentially did to save. So the simple way of doing this is to gather all the file names, put them into like a file names array, and then check the length, right? If the length is 0, then obviously we have no files. Then we sort the file names, and then we run another for loop, which iterates through the file names and puts the prompts in. Rather than doing that, we know where the file is. Why not just make an object? Object has a key and a value, right? So we just return the values of the object. Hold on. There might be a... Hold on. I might have done this a little bit wrong because I was a little bit... Yeah, wait. No, it's not like this. So we need to make a record with a string and a string. Yes. Okay. Let me explain. So let's make an empty object. And then we got to push this as the key. So object.assign. Then we're going to provide the object. Target, so yeah, okay, beautiful. So the target object is prompts, and the source object is going to be the file path as the key, and the prompt is going to be the value. Okay. And then if the length of the object is 0. This makes it a bit worse. But I'm determined. This is my perseverance coming in. Oh fuck, I really messed myself up with this one, huh? God damn it. You will work. Oh shit. How can I set the value of file path and object key? Maybe the for loop might be better after all. I've just been stupid. Or actually... Hold on, maybe I'm not stupid. Let's think about this for a second. Okay, let me go back to what I had before. Bear with me for this, okay? Okay, so we're not going to return object.values, right? We're just going to return prompts. Because there are no values in this object. And what we're gonna do... There. That's all I needed to do. I'm actually stupid. Oh, shit. I really overthought that, didn't I? Let's see if it works. Yes! There we go, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Alright. So, it ordered everything properly. Just reading this in. Okay, yeah. So, let's go over what I did. What we know is that we need to run a certain amount of requests, right? So we can't use the length of prompts. That makes no sense. But in order to read all the prompts, we're going to make it so that we have 1.text, 2.text, etc. Therefore, if we have only 2 prompts that are present, it's going to iterate through the prompt, the 1, then 2, then 1, then 2, until we get to the final number of 6 as to where the requests are finished, right? That's how we handle processing tokenization tests. But in generation tokenization tests, we only just need 1 prompt. Alright, so here's the magic. Rather than using 2 for loops and maintaining 2 different arrays, we maintain one array with an object. And we sort based on the object, right? We just compared it to. Okay, yeah, so it just compares the 2 strings together. So in this case, 1 is less than 2, so 1 goes first, 2 goes second. And then we return the prompts. That's simple. So we just prevented an extra for loop. Now, in this for loop here, which is the actual main working for loop for asynchronous work, we run the prompt. We're basically fetching the prompt, and we use a modulo. So modulo is basically a remainder operator. So in this case, if I is even, it gets 0. So therefore, prompt 0 is fetched. Prompt 0 is 1. And then if prompt 1 is 2. So it just uses a modulo operator. This can be infinitely scaled, essentially. Actually, no, this can be infinitely scaled. Yeah. If you have like a prompt that's greater than the amount of requests you're sending, it's going to pull from, it's going to modulo, and it's just going to pull from 1 through 6. That's it. Even if you go for 7, 8, 9, it's not going to pull from it, which is what we expect. So yeah, that's it. If that made sense, then great. If it didn't make sense, sorry, I'm a bit rambly. Alright. Cool, so let's just run a format on this. And ideally what we can do is we could just do a... Oh shit. We just do a Dino compile, which will make a executable. So you can run it just straight up, just provide whatever you want, and that's it. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Let me commit this. And let me add git ignore as well. And then let's add a place. Prompts here. .text. Order these in 1, 2, etc. And what I want to do is I just want to exclude the place prompts here. Yeah. Okay, so if entry.name is equal to text, let's continue, that should fix it. Alright. Alright, let's commit this. And then I'm gonna fix Tabby, and then I'll pretty much be done for the night, because it is getting... Oh, wow, it is late. Jeez, I've been streaming for 2 hours. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Right? So... main... add path reading... add multi-prompt support... and git ignore. Loops through the prompts as the requests until the max number of requests is reached. Okay, beautiful. Let's push this. Oh, shit. There we go. Okay. Let's check on the Tabby GitHub action and see if everything built. I need to find it. Those are my notifications. You can see them because I really don't give a shit. Why is there an issue? Grammar request failed. I'll look at that later. Jeez. Why am I on Tabby, actually? I need to check Axolama. Here. Okay, cool. So Rockham released, which means that the packages I added should be okay? Let's see. Wrong folder. Ugh. Lots of work, lots of work. Alright, so we have Exlama. Okay, just went down. It's beautiful. And let me just check the 3.13 one just to make sure. Yep, okay. So let me commit this. I should also make a docs file for all the legacy GPUs because Pascal was recently deprecated by Torch. So a lot of Tesla GPU owners are in a rut. In my opinion, it's just use y'all's. It's actually faster at that point, but they insist on Xllama, so whatever. Dependencies, update Xllama v2. Hopefully, this should fix the sentence piece problem. Alright, cool. So, now that's up, people won't have sentence piece issues anymore. Easy peasy. Alright then. Seems like it's time for me. Seems like it's getting late. Probably gonna end the stream here. If I have time, I'll continue on from tomorrow. We'll see. Not really sure about that myself. But we'll find out. You know? Things happen. Things change. Things move along. Things chug along. Life goes on. Nevertheless, I'm going to call it for here. I know it's pretty late for everybody, so I really appreciate people for hopping in, checking me out, seeing things happen in life. And again, thanks to everyone. Thanks so much. Like, really, I appreciate it for getting me to... Let me zoom myself in. Thanks so much for getting Tabby to 1K stars. I really appreciate it. Like, I really, really appreciate it. Nevertheless, I'm probably going to call for the night, so I'll see if there's anything I should be doing on the Twitch side of things. Doesn't look like it. But otherwise, yeah, pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, peace out, and I'll let you know when I'm live next. See ya. Oh, fuck, sorry. Let me run a raid real quick if you guys are still there. Hold on. Raid. Let me raid Nano. She's a friend of a friend. None of my actual friends are online, so fuck it, we're gonna raid her. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.